a strategy could be like a strategic goal.
Okay, so let's just look at the sequence. We agree that we're going to gather and analyze facts from the current situation.
Yeah.
Then we have to set objectives.
Right, why
We've
are
said.
we here?
But do project objectives come after developing the strategy?
Project objectives, which number?
No, because your objective is to increase sales.
Somebody's given you the objective.
Yeah,
That's your objective, increase sales,
Yeah.
And your strategy is
lower
how you're going to
lower
make it.
costs.
Well,
because
kind
you would
of
have,
like that,
you
but-
would have, what's my objective? To live longer, right? What's my strategy? Is to adopt a healthier lifestyle.
and your courses of
And
action.
then what are
will
my
be
action steps that are gonna get me there?
Eat right, exercise more.
This is where the rubber hits the road.
That's the.
So what we were saying is, you gather, then you set your objectives, then you have to have a strategy, and then your basic course of action, alternatives, and then what are the negative consequences?
And the
So would
negative
be-
would be eating right. Which one would be the most efficient? Would you just eat right?
Right.
Would you exercise?
Yeah.
Would you quit smoking? Well, the first one would probably be quit smoking because that has the worst impact before you go running.
But
or
it might
treadmill.
not be as easy.
But it
Well,
might not
would
be as
you-
easy,
And
right?
maybe
So
if
then that's
you-
where you weigh
yeah.
out the negatives and the pros and
Yeah.
cons.
And then you've got your answer. I think, you know, I'm just gonna say, I think why we're struggling here is there's not,
You know, we're-
it doesn't get to the end point of where we've got the negative consequences and then we move to the, oh, there is.
I think the alternative course of action would come after, if you want to look at it that you're analyzing negative consequences, potential negative consequences or of whatever we're doing, then you would come up with, then once you analyze that, then you would come up with your alternative course of action.
Just make sure we're using the right terminology, because the negative consequences of alternative courses of action,
Mhm.
I want to just read that.
Of
So
each
we're
course
reading
of
that
action.
right.
You need, but then you'd be redundant because then you would look at the negative consequences of your original course of action,
Yeah,
realize it doesn't
I
work,
agree.
find more course of action, and then look at the negative consequences of your alternative course of action. Does that make sense? So
Right.
why don't you get a bunch of courses of
So
action?
can I make
and
a
at one
suggestion?
point look at
These are the only
all.
two we're struggling with, right? What order they're gonna fall, so why don't we just leave that like that and we'll move on and we'll come back to it.
Well, first of all, Susan has a question about, does negative consequences even belong in this bucket? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Well, the reason we
I'm
put
not
it,
willing to agree that it can go here, because I was reading it differently, that I thought it was
You
related
were
to
reading it
people,
as a people
people's
issue.
skills and things like that, once you do the performance reviews. I'm okay with it being here, but I think, I don't understand why you come up with your course of like your strategy, and you say, this is what we're going to do, and then right off the get-go, without even analyzing the strategy, you would look at alternate strategies. Like, I mean, you always have a game plan, but things, if you're just trying to come up with, like, wouldn't you want to like say, this is what we want to do now, let's look at the pros and cons, analyze it and
But
things
how are
like
you
that.
going to do it? It's analyzing the options you have to do it, how to do it.
and I think we're
Same way we
taking,
analyze a case study.
Yeah.
is
yes, that's what we're taking.
Here's the observations.
Mhm.
Now, what are our possible prescriptions?
And then which one would
And
work
then
best?
that's about the same pieces here.
Because you always come up with the first one you think of, or
How
the
much
last
time
one
do
you
we
did,
have,
or the
Brian?
easiest
I
one
think
you know
about
of, or
30
the one
minutes.
that works, but is there a better
Thanks,
one?
Brian.
Right? There's always, these guidelines, rules, and regulations, how to cut costs, how to do this, how to increase this. But is that the best way? That would be your alternative course of action, to be like, maybe this way's better. Does that make sense?
So it's
I think so.
basically
I
saying,
can come to that.
you know what
I
it's
just
saying
need to
is, it's
process
what's
it
our
a little bit.
strategy, and then this is the brainstorming section, and then determining the negatives helps you to flush out your brainstorm to come up with the three things you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Just like he's saying in the case study.
If I do this, what will happen?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
But-
I'll leave check marks, or, sorry, a little squigglies beside those
So am I
to
like
say.
a way off mark, because maybe this is my problem, is I'm looking at this as if I would look at a smart plan almost. Like, almost a very, very high level smart plan, but that's the way I'm kind of looking at it, right? Like, so what are my specifics, how am I gonna measure it? Like, which is everything we've talked about. And that's why, so then you would have, I guess, you would have multiple things, but you're not necessarily gonna analyze your
Well,
negative stuff.
the way that I looked at it was, your boss comes to you and says, I want to open a new restaurant.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna write up the things. when
Yeah,
you
I don't
guys
wanna
are
hold it
gonna-
up to, I know we're in a time thing, so I mean, I could process, I just,
No, I mean, it's one way to look at it, high-level SMART objectives, you know.
The easiest way to look at the negatives at the starting is so that you don't have to redo the entire step. So you're thinking ahead of the game, right? If this doesn't work, why might this not work? So instead of finding out after you've done the other 18 steps or the other 15 steps, then you can be like, oh, well, this might not
How
work.
many are in?
Maybe this will work
People
better,
plan
so then I
associations?
won't have to do
So
it.
the alternative course of action
It's
for-
decreasing the
5.
odds of having to redo
Oh,
your stuff.
okay, so that one's.
by doing the
Reduce it.
negative consequences
Yeah.
after.
First, yeah. It's like
Okay.
thinking
People planning
about,
hirings could be easy.
I think the light's gone on.
does that
for-
make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can, that works, well, can work.
You don't wanna do anything twice.
I was thinking,
Okay,
yeah,
so I can erase the squiggly.
Really?
I am good for that first section.
Okay,
Well,
so
you
this
don't wanna
one's
do it
easy.
twice,
Do
you
we all
gotta
agree
figure
that
out
this
what
comes
you
next?
Yes.
The N comes next? We don't need to debate